Hello, everyone. What is up? It's another episode of TGG Plus. It's Friday. We're here. That's what we do. It's what we do best, some would say. Some would say it's what we do worst. Some would say it's just what we do.
But they would all say it is what we do consistently here for your entertainment.
Consistently.
Every Friday night, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, or in this case, 7:01 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
No intro because we like to get straight to the point.
Sometimes.
We don't like to fart around here. This is what we do. We don't like to fart around. Was there something else?
Well, mainly we're just putting it off to make sure that new intro loading screen is really refined.
That's true.
We want to really introduce it in a big way.
I bought another rig and it's rendering on that right now. And it's
I'm going to make a new theme song.
24 hours a day. It's going. As always, though, I'm here with my co-host, Evan Prince.
That's me.
We got a bunch of news tonight, a bunch of little things. It's kind of a menagerie of news this week, not so much one big thing.
Nothing huge this time. Just, we pay attention to the details. That's what we do here. See, some people get caught up in the big news. We like to give some attention to the little guy, really hone in on the details.
You can go anywhere else and you'll see the biggest headline that everybody's talking about. But what you're going to get here is the underground stuff. The gems, the diamonds, the stuff people aren't talking about, maybe because they're paid off.
You ever think of that?
Whoa.
Yeah, we are the resistance. The revolution will be live streamed.
Yeah, will be live streamed on YouTube. We got Metal Gear Solid 4 cryptically talked about by a Konami producer. GameStop's going retro. Baldur's Gate 3 developer talking about increasing the price of video games. A new Batman game. Lots of stuff happening. But before we get to that, we like to settle in here. We like to relax a little bit. This is a relaxing show. Always has been, always will be. If you like the stream, make sure to actually like the stream below. It helps us out. You can also donate in the link below. You can donate via Super Chat if you feel obligated to. If you just want to freeload, you can. We actually encourage it. But
yes, it's like riding a bandwagon here. It's like a free bandwagon that you can hop on and hang out with us on.
And get all of your new opinions from as well.
Copy our opinions. You'll be objectively right all of the time.
And cool. But what have you been up to this week? How's your week been going? What have you been doing, Evan?
Pretty cool. Pretty good week so far.
Wait, before you get into this, have you ever had a nickname?
Have I ever had a nickname?
Yeah, because I wanted to kind of call you like Evie there or something. I was going to do a little thing.
So one or two people in the past did make a habit of calling me Ev, but it didn't ever super stick. It was really just two people that I knew, and they didn't even know each other, but those two people out of everyone in my life called me Ev. Everyone else always just called me Evan.
Okay. I think I had one of those when I was in like late elementary school. A nickname that nobody really adhered to, but I just kind of,
I never cared. I never wanted. I could never tolerate the concept of me like encouraging a nickname. I never wanted that.
Yeah.
So if somebody wanted to call me Ev, I'd be like, okay. But if they didn't, I was like, all right, I'm not forcing a nickname.
Yeah.
That'd be crazy.
By the way, chat, how's the audio? I did 0 audio checks before we went live. So give me.
We weren't kidding about getting straight into it.
Yeah. We were so excited. Okay, you can go back to how your week was. Sorry, I just had to ask you about nicknames.
Most of my week has been spent working on my video for Killzone 3. So I have been buried in Killzone all week long, dude.
That's the last one?
There's one more after it. Killzone 3 is the conclusion of the trilogy, and then they did one for the PS4 called Shadowfall.
Yes, I remember that.
But this one is, even though it has less missions than the other two, it is significantly more dense, and this script is going to be like so much bigger. It's already bigger than the other two were. It's going to be probably close to 16 to 18,000 words when I'm done. Probably going to be like maybe close to a 2.5 hour video, I would wager. Maybe. It's been a lot, but something cool did happen last night.
Okay.
The motion comic that I voiced Spider-Man in released last night.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Spider-Man, the Amazing Spider-Man Kraven's Last Hunt over at the Russian Comic Book Geeks YouTube channel. He and I have been working on this for over a year, and it's really cool. I voiced Spider-Man, obviously, and it's already up to 5.5 thousand views in 17 hours.
It's not bad.
And yeah, not bad at all. I mean, he's a big channel. He's got over 100,000 subs, and this is all he does is make like motion comics. And my girlfriend actually voices Mary Jane in that.
Really?
So yeah, so I've talked about it a couple of times. My girlfriend actually has real acting experience, like in real things.
Yeah.
So she obviously kind of shows me up a little bit, but still, she voices Mary Jane, and I voice Peter Parker / Spider-Man, and it's the iconic Kraven's Last Hunt story, entirely told through epic motion comic formula with great sound effects and music and everything, some of which I contributed. Some of the music I actually wrote for this.
Damn, dude.
And some people have said in the past that the Kraven's Last Hunt arc is one of the greatest Spider-Man stories ever told. So if you want to figure that out for yourself, go watch it.
Hell yeah. Yeah, go check that out. I'll probably throw that on while I'm playing some video games or something. Check it out.
So it's only like an hour and 20 minutes, and most of the dialogue is actually from the villain, because a huge chunk of that story is actually from his perspective.
Okay.
So it's really cool.
Yeah, that's sick. Yeah, that's awesome. You've been talking about doing that for a while too.
Oh yeah. It's been being worked on for a while, and it's especially relevant because of the new Sony Kraven movie coming out. Have you seen that?
No, I haven't.
You haven't seen that? It's got the guy from Kick-Ass in it. The guy from Kick-Ass is playing Kraven the Hunter.
The guy that played the Kick-Ass? What was his name? Aaron Taylor Johnson.
He got like mad jacked now, and he's playing Kraven the Hunter. It's one of Sony's like villain verse movies.
Dude, that comes out in December. How have I not heard about this?
I don't
marketing
know.
L. Talk about marketing L.
So it just feels especially well timed that we can put out something good that's Kraven related before we get this movie.
Yeah, exactly. Damn, that's sick. Yeah, I know I did some voice work on something before that wasn't audiobook related. That was like something, but I don't remember what it was, and I don't know if it still exists. But I was trying to think about, because I feel like I remember doing something for free one time when I was trying to get up in that world, but I don't know. Okay. Do you like doing like voice acting work?
I think it's the only kind of acting I would ever want to do, and even then, it's actually pretty hard.
Yeah,
I do like it a lot, and it's not something I think I would ever want to do for a career. But I would, because I would only ever want to do things that I think are like cool. But I will say this is the second like decently sized major voice acting gig I've gotten, because the first one was I played Spider-Man in his other motion comic, and then I did it in this one, and I was paid for both gigs. So technically I'm a pseudo professional. And he is talking about adapting a much bigger comic book storyline for a much bigger motion comic movie, probably multiple hours long. It's really ambitious, and I would be coming back as Spider-Man for that. But other than that, probably it's very time consuming. It's very exhausting. It's really hard reading the same line like 20 times over and over again.
Well, the thing is, especially going from reading your own script, just, you without any characters, to having to read other characters and like get in their head, is way different and requires an entirely different level, like workflow. If you're reading your own script, it's just like, I'm going to read this in my voice, how I would.
Yeah. So
it's not that hard. You can kind of just breeze through it, but
trying to like be an interpretation of a already pre-established character.
Yeah.
And especially with sometimes, I'll be honest, because of the way comic books are written, sometimes it's kind of hard to pick up on how some of these lines are supposed to be said, via inflection and whatnot.
That's true.
Because comic books have to keep the amount of dialogue on their panels to a certain amount, because you can only put so much text on a graphic.
Oh, we're losing them.
sometimes I oh sorry, we're having some issues here, some
Oh,
technical
you're back.
difficulties. Are we back?
Yeah.
Sometimes I would be trying to read a line and I would be struggling with like, how is this supposed to be said? And my girlfriend would come in and be like, oh, try it this way, and I'd be like, oh, that's the inflection.
Yeah.
But comic books are kind of hard to read for, you know.
Yeah, yeah. And that's a whole different skill too, is like looking at the words and immediately knowing how they should be read in that context. It's a completely different ball game.
And you know, some people, yeah, you ever used to hear people talk about how, oh, this actor is a better Bruce Wayne, but not as good of a Batman or something like that.
Yeah.
I will say, something I picked up on between doing these two graphic motion comic movies is I think I'm a better Spider-Man than I am a Peter Parker.
Okay.
Because I really struggled with the Peter Parker lines. Those were really hard for me. But like the Spider-Man lines where I got to like, even if I was doing like the jokey, cocky, like version of Spider-Man was easier. And then especially like the screaming and yelling and combat stuff, that was really easy for me. Like I understood that immediately. But like the nuances of like Peter Parker and his emotional struggles, those were hard. I had to have my girlfriend like sitting beside me, like helping me figure out how to do lines. That was not
Choose
easy
your
for
acting
me.
coach.
Yeah, the talking bits, those are hard, but the yelling, the Kraven's Last Hunt was way easier for me because most of it is just Spider-Man like yelling or being frustrated. But the first one we did has a lot of like him talking to like students and dealing with drama. It was a lot harder. I struggled way more with that.
Yeah. I mean, it's the same thing too with Spider-Man, like you were saying about Batman. There's people that are better Peter Parkers than they are Spider-Man. Like Tobey Maguire is probably objectively a better Spider-Man, right?
He made it pretty good at both of them.
Andrew Garfield was a really good Spider-Man, but he wasn't a good Peter Parker. That's the best.
I think
example.
a lot of people kind of share that sentiment.
Yeah, that's the best example. He was too kind of good looking, I guess, is the easiest way to say it, to be Peter Parker. Like he's just a dashing, very charismatic young man.
They went for like the skater punk route for those movies.
Yeah, for sure.
He was like on a skateboard and he was.
Yeah. Somebody in chat asked if I was going to cover MGS5. I am, and that's actually.
No, he's not. He's done.
Yeah,
he's stopping at 4.
Quit. I don't even want to talk about that one.
No Peace Walker. No 5. No Ground Zeroes.
Yeah, no, that's actually what I was going to talk about this week. I've had such a fucking busy week, man. What have you been doing? Just so much stuff. Like it's just been like thing after thing after thing, like having to go to family stuff, or I had to do like I had to do this thing in the yard, out like yard work this week, because we had this bush that was just like completely, it just sucked. It was a shitty bush and it would just grow too fast and it looked like shit. So I had to rip it out, and it was like the trunk was like this big, so I ended up having to like chop it through like all these things and shit. So I had to like do that. I had to fix my girlfriend's car at one point. Like it's just been it's been one of those weeks that's just like nonstop.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, I hear you. That's rough.
But I yesterday and the day before, I finally got time to sit down and get started on MGS5 because I finished the last like 2 videos that I was working on.
So MGS5 has begun.
MGS5 has begun. I had already completed like playing Ground Zeroes, getting footage for that. I had started playing MGS5, and now I think I'm done with it. I think I've gotten what I wanted to from it.
Phantom Pain, you're done?
Yeah, there might be a couple things I go back to get, just like I do you ever do this thing where when you make a video and you get footage naturally and then you write the script and maybe you go really in on, let's say it's an RPG and it has like an alchemy section, and you're looking back through your footage and you realize like you just have little tidbits of the alchemy section, and
so you just go back and get nothing but a bunch of alchemy.
Yeah, you just go back and like just film the menus. Yeah, so I might go back and do that for just like all the menus. I still have to take notes for all the cassette tapes and stuff like that, but I mean, as for the large portion of the mechanics in the game, I've about finished it. And I was really excited because I was, I'd beaten Ground Zeroes. I'd beaten Phantom Pain. And I just have to play PT. And then I was like, oh, I'm done. I'm done. This is literally all I have to play. And then I can go on to the next mystery game that but the audience
Do you happen to have a copy of PT just on your PS4 already?
I do, yeah. It's I still have my original launch PS4. And it has, it has PT on it. Yeah. It survived all these years, dude. Those things are durable as fuck. But I was like, okay, I just have to play PT. And then I completely forgot that Metal Gear Survive exists. And I was like,
is it going in the video?
Yeah, that's right after Phantom Pain, so that's the last one to talk about. I completely forgot.
Luckily, I don't think there's much to talk about in that game.
It's like a long game. My history with Survive is I've never played it. I've literally never touched it. I've seen maybe 5 minutes of gameplay footage or something. But I've
poking zombies through a
but I started playing it today. And oh man, I gotta say, hot take. I think it's actually in the top 18 Metal Gear games of all time.
Really?
Yeah.
Top 18.
Top 18. I think it makes the top 18.
Do you think it would around I don't know, number 18?
Somewhere around there. Not quite that number, but somewhere around there.
It might not be as bad as Snake's Revenge.
Yeah. I think I'd rather play Survive than Snake's Revenge, if I'm being entirely honest with you.
It's fair. Are you taking advantage of the co-op and getting someone in there with you?
No, I don't even know. I don't even know if I'm going to go into that, if I'm going to dive that deep. I think I might just analyze it from a base perspective. It is written really poorly. You can see the absolute decline after Kojima and his core group left.
Didn't you talk about PT in the Silent Hill video?
I did
already?
Yeah.
So you're just approaching it from a different angle.
Yes. Yeah, because I didn't talk about it in depth. I think I maybe talked about it for 10 minutes. It was mostly from the perspective of because you can view PT, it's this weird crossover between Metal Gear Solid and Silent Hills, because it has so much to do with the development of MGS5, with Kojima's history as a whole, and it also has so much to do, obviously, with the Silent Hill franchise. So it's this weird crossover. So I just looked at it from the perspective of, this is where the series ended up. This is what was going to happen. It didn't happen. This is kind of what they took from us sort of angle, Mm-hmm. But now I'm going to look at it from this is autobiographical about Kojima, that whole theory, interpretation of it, and that angle more, and what it has to do with him leaving Konami. I think it's really important in the grand scheme of his development history and Metal Gear Solids.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, so I'm excited for that, and it's been years since I released that Silent Hill video, so it's been a while since I've talked about it. But
so you're ready to get back in there?
Ready to get back in there. I played an interesting game this week.
What'd you play?
So I was doing a worst Steam games video that I finished up, but one of the games that I had to play was a clone of another game, and I was like, I'll go back out. I'll check this game back out. It's been a while since I've played it. It was the original, the OG Plants vs. Zombies.
Oh yeah, I think I played an hour or two of that over a decade ago.
I had it on PC. I had a physical copy of it, and the physical copies came with these little figures. There were 8 of them that you could collect, but the case was clear, so you could see which figure was in there. And I loved it. I loved that game. I don't know why, but I was obsessed with it when it came out.
A lot of people weren't they?
They were.
That became like a little mini phenomenon.
Yeah, it had its own franchise. They made a second and a third like direct sequel, and those were mobile games. So I don't think I ever played those. And then they made a spin-off called Garden Warfare, which was like an online co-op shooter. And those games I think did pretty well. They made a few of them. But yeah, I went back and played it, and it was just good. It was really good. It's just a solid, like just a really solid little game. Art design was like really well done. Everything's like minimal, but you know, things are communicated through the art design. It was a solid game. I was having fun. I didn't want to stop playing it. I only needed maybe 20 minutes of footage, but I think I played it for like 2 or 3 hours.
Sign of a good game right there.
It's true. But yeah, I've been Fultoning. I've been rebuilding Mother Base. You know, I've been listening to cassette tapes. I've been, you know, using CQC. You know, those things that you do.
Look, the world calls for wet work, and you answer.
I do. I answer.
Rubbing your nose in the bloodied battlefield dirt.
Mm-hmm. The thing with MGS5 is I probably should stop. I think I've gotten enough. I don't need to do every side op. I don't need to S rank every mission, right? Like I've gotten all of the story content. I've gotten enough of the mechanical content, but I want to keep playing it. Like I'm like, I just want to keep playing this game, you know?
And that's why you're going to play Metal Gear Survive.
Yeah. So now I'm going to torture myself more.
It's not over until you achieve total denuclearization.
Yeah. Nuclear disarmament.
Didn't they almost achieve that on one of the consoles? Was it the PS3? And then there was like some reason why they couldn't do it.
So I was actually looking into this today. There was a few people that got pretty close on PS3 because there was the least amount of people playing on PS3. If you don't know what we're talking about, by the way, in MGS5, when you build your mother base up enough, you can make nukes, and those get put on your mother base. You can also invade other people's FOBs and take their nukes and disarm them. And supposedly, if all of the nukes are disarmed naturally, then there's a ton of theories. Some people thought there would be an entire extra chapter behind the game. Some people thought it was just going to be one mission. Some people think it's just one cutscene. Nobody really knows for sure. But
well, the cutscene is confirmed because they hacked into the files and they found it. We know the cutscene is real, but we don't know if there was anything else.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like some people just think it was that. A lot of other people think it was more than that. But who knows? But anyways, it was never achieved. It was never achieved in a real way, like in an authentic way. There were a couple times that it was achieved, but it was achieved by using exploits or by hacking the system. And I was actually looking into the people that did achieve it on PS3 today. They said they achieved it naturally by getting a group together, and it turned out that there was actually a guy in their group that joined later and was like, "Hey, I developed this program that will hack into people's MGS5 accounts automatically without doing anything, and it'll just delete their nuke."
Huh.
And so they didn't have to worry about any of this invasion or anything. So they did. They ran that program, and then they were like, Konami was like, "We got to investigate this because we don't know if it was legit or not," and it wasn't. So they banned that guy, and then stopped it.
So close.
Mm-hmm. So I don't think it has ever happened actually legitimately. My fan theory is that it probably was never meant to happen. Like you that's kind of the message by Kojima. That seems like a very Kojima thing to do, is to be like, "Hey, look how hard this is. Look how literally impossible this is to achieve peace by disarming
literally impossible
all nuclear arms." It's almost like it's impossible, you know, like that's kind of my theory, but I don't know. I'll have to dig into it a little deeper. But
are you gonna talk about it in the video?
Yeah, gonna talk about that. Got to talk about the whole chapter 3 theory thing. I've been looking into that stuff lately, and man, these people are schizo. They are schizo.
Did you watch some of the Python Selkin stuff?
I don't think his stuff is that schizo. I'm talking about these like subreddits and shit that like, you know, they're just like, they think, by the way, tomorrow, 9 years since MGS5 came out, which is a very big day for the MGS5 anniversary because, you know, he was in a coma for 9 years.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm sorry, it's been 9 years. It's been 9 years. But yeah, that's tomorrow. So I think people think like something's gonna happen tomorrow or something. I don't know. It's crazy.
It's happening.
Yeah,
nothing ever happens.
It's happening. Okay, let's. Can you respond to some comments real quick while I run to the bathroom?
Yeah, sure.
I'll be right back.
They played us like a damn fiddle. Let's see. What are you guys saying over here in the chat? Over 600 hours in MGS5. That's good. You better be damn good at it then. You better be getting big boss ranks. Didn't have to hack. I've seen it hack multiple times. PS5, 100 recently got a copy for PS3. Okay. Why are we still here? Just to suffer. What was that noise? You guys are just quoting. You guys are just quoting the fucking games. Need 500 hours for me to take you seriously. That's fair. Oh, the rocket punch. Oh yeah, that's a great mechanic in the Phantom Pain. God, can you guys believe it's been 9 years? I was the first person in a 100-mile radius to own a physical copy of the Phantom Pain back when it released, because there was only, I think it was more than that. There was only one GameStop within like 100 or so miles, might have been 200 miles, that was doing a midnight release for it. And I stood in line, and I was the first person to actually get a copy of the Phantom Pain. So it's crazy that was 9 years ago.
Oh, gee. Makes you feel old, doesn't it?
It does. Yeah, man. That's crazy. I remember playing that first mission for the first time, being like, the fuck am I? What is this? Was that a whale?
Yeah.
And I played that opening, and I was like, dude, I can't wait to see what else it has to offer. And the game pretty much never reaches that level again. It dials it up to an 11 for the prologue, and then like dials it down and never goes back up. What?
Do you not like it?
Do I not like what?
MGS5.
Oh no, I love MGS5. I'm a huge MGS5 defender.
You just think it peaks at the beginning?
Because
I think my favorite part is Chapter 2. I think Chapter 2 is infinitely better than the first chapter.
Chapter 2 has a lot more interesting things going on. Yeah. But I just think that I don't want to say it peaked, but it peaked in intensity.
Like big action.
Yeah, well, yeah. Action, intrigue, like that opening mission in the Phantom Pain is one of like the most interesting and like dynamic sequences in pretty much any video game ever. And it's so much going on, you know, with like moving around and the soldiers like storming the hospital, and then you know you have the man on fire, and you've got like the flaming whales and shit. It's so fucking cool.
Yeah.
And the fact that it never really achieves that again. You have that for that opening mission, and then all of that, what ends up happening is you have this mission that says, look at all this cool stuff, and then it just scatters the elements across the rest of the game, and it never achieves that peak again.
I don't think I would have liked it if it did achieve that peak again, because it was cool for an intro sequence, but it was very linear. It was very, you know, third person linear action game. I'm not saying I think it's bad, but I just think it's I don't know, it's very linear. It's very like I like how the rest of the game is just sort of like you could just do whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah, I like that too, but I was hoping for like a final fight sequence or an ending that achieved that level of atmosphere and aesthetic design and intensity.
Well, it does. The ending is literally it makes you play the prologue again.
Right, but
it's identical, actually.
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's when you think about like, okay, so for instance, I feel like Death Stranding did a fantastic job of having a really like grand opening and then like matching that in a way at the end.
I'll
That
agree
the end
with
fight
that.
scene between Sam and Higgs was super cool to me. It felt big, but in a small way. It was like just these two characters fist fighting, and it was really cool. It felt grand, but in a small way. I feel like Death Stranding made a statement at the beginning and it made a statement at the end, and it really has two good bookends. I feel like
That's true.
probably because we didn't get a chapter 3, I feel like the Phantom Pain was missing that end.
I think I get what you're saying. I don't agree though. I think because the thing is, I think if the question of chapter, if that fucking title card was never in the game, and that cut mission was never in the data mines, I don't think anyone would have ever questioned it. To me, it feels like an ending. If that scene with the tape, just that feels like everything's wrapped up. It's just that this is it. That's it. That's the message. It's an end. It's a bookend to Kojima's time at Konami. It's a bookend to everything, in my opinion. But I can see how some people wanted a little bit more, I guess. But I don't know. I feel like there's such a subversion in Chapter 2 after Chapter 1 is sort of focused on this whole big revenge action story. And then Chapter 2 is just this like sad, fucking introspective, like just shit. Like it just sucks. And you're just like at Mother Base the whole time. You're like never anywhere else. Everything just happens on Mother Base and everybody's sad and angry. You know, like I like that. That's my kind of thing. But
yeah, Chapter 2 is definitely a lot. It's very sad.
It's very sad. Crow with the 10, what is that, pounds?
Looks like pounds.
Pounds.
Or euros or something.
With the 10 pounds. Thank you very much. The idea of MGS4 being anything other than a PS3 exclusive game is so alien to me that it's crazy to be here in 2024, where it's now a new release on several platforms. The late 2000s were the best. Yeah, it's pretty insane. Actually, I mean, now that we've sort of broached that topic, we might as well move on to the news.
It's about time.
But as you can see from the title, the Metal Gear Solid 4 sort of port has been recently hinted at. Just to give a little bit of background, if you're not familiar with the Metal Gear series, when did the Master Collection come out? Last year, 2 years ago?
I think it was 2 years ago.
Yeah, like 2 years ago. 2 years ago, Konami decided to release a Metal Gear Solid Master Collection, which was Metal Gear 1 and 2, Metal Gear Solid 1, 2, and 3 was released for all modern platforms, PC, PS5.
It was last year. It was 2023.
It was last year. Okay.
October 2023. Okay.
Yeah, so that Master Collection came out. It was the first time that like these games had been available on modern consoles, other than the last one was the Legacy collection on the PS3. So it had been a while. And I don't think they were available on PC, but some like the bad ports and shit. Yeah, it was big. And so the next step, most people thought, was Volume 2 of the Master Collection, MGS4, MGS5, Peace Walker, and complete the series in 2 volumes. All of these games are now on modern consoles. Konami gets to print a bunch of money. And the fans get what they want. And so that's...
Isn't it nice whenever that happens? It seems like it's so rare.
Yeah, I know. This recent article from IGN, this is Kotaku, but IGN spoke to Konami producer Noriaki Okamura, and he was asked about MGS4 and Volume 2. And he said, "We're definitely aware of this situation with MGS4. Unfortunately, we can't really say too much at the moment with Volume 1 containing MGS 1 to 3... You can probably connect the dots." Which is very cryptic, but seems like to me that he's sort of saying, I can't talk about it, but yeah, it's coming. What do you think?
I mean, it pretty much seems like exactly what he's saying. He said Master Collection was 1 through 3. Would be really stupid of us to not make the Master Collection Volume 2, not have 4. Of course, I had a speculative theory that we talked about this a few episodes ago. I'm not convinced that the Phantom Pain will be on the Master Collection 2.
Yeah, you said something about that. I remember us talking about that, and you said something.
Yeah, I think the Master Collection
effect.
Volume 2 is going to be like, I think it's going to be Peace Walker. I think it's going to be Guns of the Patriots. And then I think it'll be probably like Was Portable Ops on Master Collection 1?
No.
Yeah, I think it'll probably have Portable Ops. I don't think it's going to have Ground Zeroes or Phantom Pain.
Why again? Let me ask.
I had... Well, first off, it's because the Phantom Pain already has like a deluxe collection edition thing where it's Phantom Pain and Ground Zeroes. It's this big thing. Second off, that's already available on a bunch of platforms. And if they don't include that in the Master Collection Volume 2, it is more like, and they released Master Collection Volume 2 on like PC and stuff, it's more likely to incentivize people to play through 4 and then go buy 5. It would be stupid to include 5. You would lose money.
Yeah, but 5 is so cheap. You know what I mean? Like 5. Like
what is it? What is it on Steam right now?
I don't know. I don't think it's that much though. I think it's pretty. I think it's like $10.
I thought it was like 30.
Is it really?
Yeah, Phantom Pain's 20. It's $20.
Phantom Pain's 20. I don't. The thing,
but some money is better than the definitive experience. The one I'm talking about with Ground Zeroes and Phantom Pain is 30.
The thing about that though is it just doesn't. It doesn't seem like it's. It doesn't seem like it's. Like it's not guaranteeing a sale. If you let's say if you. Because what was the Master Collection Volume 1? Was that 30 on release?
No,
it was more. It was more than that. Because I think
it may have been 40.
It was 60.
Oh, really? They sold that thing for $60?
Yeah, because Metal Gear 2, and Metal Gear Solid on its own is 20. So yeah, I mean, if they're selling it they're going to sell it for $60. They're trying to get all the value they can. $30 comes from MGS5 and Ground Zeroes right away. Maybe $20 because you're packaging it with a bunch of other things and forcing people to spend 60. So it's a bit of a discount. And then you have MGS4 and Peace Walker. That seems like the most likely to me. That seems like a $60 value to most people. To sort of get all that in one, especially with most people are just coming for MGS4 anyways, but if you can kind of get them to buy MGS5 again, you know?
Yeah, I think that most people, I think Konami knows most people are going to be buying it for the 4th game.
Yeah.
But I also think that this is my speculation, and I would probably do this too if it were me, but I think they're going to look at it and say, if we give them the Phantom Pain and Ground Zeroes in this collection with the other games, all we're doing is guaranteeing they won't buy it later. But I don't think that they believe that not including it will result in less sales overall. I think that they're looking at it and saying not including the Phantom Pain in the Master Collection Volume 2 is not going to de-incentivize anybody from buying it, because those games have already been available on some of these platforms and they're already optimized and they don't need any of the touch-ups. But by including it in the Master Collection, it is guaranteeing that people won't go buy it later. That's how I think they're going to look at it.
But you're saying it would just be Master Collection Volume 2 would just be MGS4, Peace Walker, and Portable Ops.
Portable Ops. And I think that they're probably going to include like some other ones. I saw someone baselessly speculating that they're going to include the Acid games and some other like non-canon. Like Master Collection 2 is basically going to be, I think they'll put Survive. I think Survive will be in there. If
MGS5 is in there, why is Survive in there? Because Survive is easily available on all platforms and they can get other people to go buy that.
Because nobody's going to buy Survive. People will buy the Phantom Pain later. They're more likely to buy the Phantom Pain later. This is all just speculation. This is just what makes sense to me.
No, I know. I'm saying, to play devil's advocate here, I don't think, first of all, let's be honest, I don't see Acid coming to the collection at all.
Probably not. No,
I don't
think so either.
I don't see Portable Ops coming to the collection at all, to be honest.
I do see that one.
It's not canon. And it's
I don't think Konami knows that.
yeah, they do. Their official timeline doesn't even have it on there.
Oh, well, maybe
it's not canon. It wasn't on the original.
Snake's Revenge isn't canon.
That's not. I don't think that's on. Well, that was on.
It's on the Master Collection.
That was on the Master Collection, but I mean that one's just. It's. I feel like that's just an easy input there. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, but that's what I think about Survive. I think Survive and Portable Ops are going to be easy to just include on there.
Pump the brakes. Let me finish.
Okay.
Let me finish. It's not canon. It's. It wasn't on the Legacy Edition. And I think that's why Snake's Revenge was on it. Was because I'm pretty sure Snake's Revenge was on the Legacy Collection, and most of the Master Collection was just a port of the Legacy Collection. I just don't. I see the Master Collection as like here's the canon games, and this is like a definitive way to buy all of the mostly the canon games that you want to play, the entire series. Because I don't know. I don't see Portable Ops fitting in there really.
That might be the case, but what you just said, doesn't that not make so much sense to not include the 5th game in there? To say this is the definitive way to play the entire series, except for the last one, you'll have to go buy that by itself.
I think it's in there, man. I think
we'll see.
You want to bet?
You might be right.
Bet. We should do a little wager.
We should do a wager. What are you thinking?
So you're saying Portable Ops. What'd you say? Portable Ops for
I don't want
to.
I don't want to bet on what will be in the Master Collection. I just think that Phantom Pain and I think Phantom Pain specifically won't be on there, and I also predict Ground Zeroes won't be. But I'd only be willing to bet
on
Phantom Pain won't be in the collection.
Okay. I'll say Phantom Pain will be in Master Collection Volume 2. What's the wager?
I don't know. That's a hard one. I mean, we don't want to do money. That's lame.
Yeah, that is lame.
It has to be something interesting.
It has to be something we have to do on here.
Mm-hmm.
Chat. What should we wager?
Yeah, chat. Make some suggestions on what the wager should be for the winner or loser.
They had the uncanon Metal Gear from America on the Master Collection. Did they? I thought it was the MSX version.
Let me check. I'll check
could be
that right
wrong,
now.
But I don't remember. You can buy you can buy each of the Master Collection games individually. I really enjoyed Acid 1 and 2. I know it wasn't Sons back then. Yeah, I just didn't. It wasn't for me. I get the appeal. I get why people like it.
They did have both Metal Gears. They had the non-canon one there too.
Okay, so they had both. Okay.
Yeah, and they had the VR missions.
I would say no to Portable Ops or Acid just because they would have to include Portable Ops Plus and Acid 2. The other thing is too, like, it's easier to port Peace Walker because it's already been done. The hard work's already been done to port it to console. Portable Ops that hasn't been done yet.
Some of these suggestions are pretty fun. Microwave hallway.
What it has to crawl through the microwave hallway? That's funny. Loser has to take an embarrassing sponsor.
I don't get sponsor offers. I can't do that.
You have to try and get a sponsorship with Adam and Eve. One of you has to platinum MGS2. That would be like a serious detriment to my life because that's
pretty rough.
That's a lot of time. Sammy has a good suggestion. If Evan wins, then Sun has to stream a Star Wars game of Evan's choice.
It's really funny.
That is funny. Yeah. That is actually pretty funny. Okay, maybe we do that. Maybe we do.
Well, what if you win?
We'd have to put a cap on it. Like it'd be like you only have to stream it for 2 hours or something.
Yeah, 2 hours is fair. You have to stream it for two hours.
Okay, and then you have to stream. What's a game you wouldn't like? Probably like a
there's a lot of them, dude.
Probably like a visual novel or something. Or would it be? It would be closer. It would be something more modern, I would say.
Yeah, visual novels are that's too easy because you just sit there and like read. No, it's got to be something.
Something you actually really don't like. Ooh, I have a good idea. Life is Strange.
I already played the full thing of Life is Strange. I didn't actually hate it that much.
You played it on live stream?
No, I didn't play it on live stream, but I just thought it was I mean,
what about
I feel like you could do better.
What about Life is Strange True Colors?
how much is that? I don't know if I want to fucking buy a $30 game for a wager.
It's hard though, because any game you could emulate, you're gonna want to play.
That's not even true.
Well, you're not gonna want, but you're not gonna not want to play it.
Yeah, fucking True Colors is $60, bro.
Loser streams Dustborn. You know, is that? This is the thing. So, have you seen this game?
Yeah, I know all about Dustborn.
This is the thing. Is I'm not hoping on anybody's downfall here or anything. I don't wish bad on anybody. But in my head, I've been like, man, I hope that hits negative reviews so that I can put that on a worst reviewed Steam games and play it and have a reason to play it. Because I think it would be funny. But I don't, it just hasn't. It's not an actual thing. I don't actually want it to hit negative reviews just so I can do a video on it. It's just a joke. But as soon as I said that, I was like, yeah, people are going to take this out of context and be like, he hates it. He wants it to do bad.
I hope it gets negative reviews because I want bad writers to stop getting work.
I saw like a couple of clips from that game. It looks rough.
Yeah, I don't. I mean,
Forspoken?
It's for somebody.
Forspoken? You have to stream Forspoken?
But the thing is, I have to stream a game that you don't care about and I wouldn't like. I thought like the idea was it would be funny for me to watch you stream a Star Wars game because I like Star Wars games
it. So it has to be a game I like and that you
yeah, a game that you like that you don't really think that I would enjoy or get. I thought that was the vibe we were going for because otherwise I would just want to make you stream like shit.
What?
Platinum Prototype? Fuck no, dude. No, none of us are doing that.
I don't even know what that is.
Prototype, the video game? You know what Prototype is.
Has to Platinum Prototype. I thought he said it has to play Platinum Prototype. I was like, I don't know what Platinum Prototype is. What's a game I like that it would probably be some sort of walking sim. Some sort of like walking sim kind of thing.
Metal Gear Survive for 2 hours.
Maybe that's it. We just have to stream Metal Gear Survive for 2 hours.
That'd be pretty funny. How expensive is that? That's probably pretty cheap.
Then
right?
It's even too. Yeah, I think I just bought it today. I think it's like $10.
Let's take a look here.
Oh no, I didn't buy it today, but I installed it today. Oh, it's $30. Yeah. You can probably find a key on a website though.
Yeah, damn, that's rough. And you know what sucks about that too is the 2 hour thing means you can't fucking refund it.
Yeah, you can. I think it's 3 hours.
No, it's 2 on Steam,
3.5 or something.
Oh, then they must have.
Or 3.2 maybe.
That climbing game you played a few months ago?
Oh, Jusant.
Metal Gear content for the Metal Gear bet.
Yeah, I actually kind of like Jusant. Yeah, Metal Gear content. Yeah, I agree with Isaiah. It's
we could do like has to like get at best top times on like the old VR missions or something.
Yeah, but that's fun.
That is fun. Yeah.
That's fun. I would love to do that. No, I think Metal Gear Survive is the way to go. 2 hours of Metal Gear Survive. I played about Snake's 2 hours of it today, and it's pretty rough.
Yeah, but isn't the first hour of it just like cutscenes and setup and shit?
It's like the first 30 minutes or so. Yeah, we'll do that. I think that's the way to go. Okay, so the bet is.
Well, we'll say Metal Gear Survive is the choice now, but you have until the end of the stream to give us a better suggestion.
Yeah, if somebody has a better suggestion, we'll go with that. But the bet is if Phantom Pain is in the Master Collection Volume 2, then you have to play Metal Gear Survive or whatever game chat suggests for 2 hours on stream. That's right. If it's not in there, then I have to.
That's fair. What if Volume 2 has Metal Gear Peace Walker, MGS4, and Metal Gear Rising? I assume it will have Rising.
You think so?
Yeah, well, I think the only reason you think it wouldn't have Rising is because it's not canon, right?
No, I think it wouldn't have Rising because I think it would be... Wouldn't that be wonky with rights because Platinum? Or was it totally Konami's property?
I think Konami owns that.
It's totally Konami's IP?
I think Platinum...
was just a contractor.
I think that they were, because the thing is, it wasn't even their game idea. It was a Konami game that they asked Platinum to come in and finish for them.
That's true.
It's their game.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. It just doesn't. I feel like it just doesn't. it's going to be games that they know have sold well in the past and that people still want to see, that are going to be draws. 5 is that, 4 is that, Peace Walker's that, Ground
Rising
Zeroes is
has that kind of cultural relevance, though. You know, it is maintained culturally relevant. I would be surprised if the executives didn't say, let's put that in there. They love it.
I would say it's a higher likelihood than Portable Ops.
Yeah, that might be the case.
Yeah,
I'm more confident in my idea that Phantom Pain won't be on there than I would be that Rising will be.
Okay. Yeah. I see what you're saying. But that's the bet. That's the bet. If you want us to play a different game other than Metal Gear Survive, throw it out in the chat. Got to be a bad game, something we wouldn't want to play. And it can't just be some Steam. Listen, I'm the master of that at this point. I play all sorts of bad Steam games all the time. Loser has to play Star Wars
Loser goes to
Outlaws.
Japan to win the Phantom Pain Pachinko sequel.
Ooh,
that's a fucking trip to Japan. That's
a good bet. I think we should do that instead.
Oh yeah, because we just have the funds laying around to go to Japan. Jared,
I wish. Yeah, make Jared come get us. Fallout 76. I kind of like Fallout 76 if you're playing it with some good people.
You know, and the thing about a game like Fallout 76 is playing it for 2 hours isn't even that bad because so much of it isn't even you playing it, you know?
Yeah, it's just kind of going through the
setup
motions.
And yeah.
Okay. Let's move on to the next thing. The bet has been set. Mark this down. Episode
Continue
21.
to suggest better game suggestions, and if you can't figure something out, we're doing Survive.
Metal Gear Survive. Okay. Next thing, GameStop's going retro. You said in the previous chat that you already had kind of heard about this, huh?
Yeah, I'd heard about this.
So GameStop has announced that they're going to be pivoting to retro gaming at select locations. So some of their locations are going to be turning into GameStop retro locations. And I assume they're only going to be offering retro games. The complete list of consoles that they'll be offering.
Looks like up to 7th gen.
Yeah. Right past
excluding the Vita.
PS3, Wii U, and PS Vita. So NES, SNES, Game Boy, all that stuff up till PS Vita in 2012. So nothing in that PS4 generation. What do you think about this? Do you think it's a good move? I feel like I'm kind of tied on whether it's a good move or a bad move.
I think the only thing about this that surprises me is that it's taken them this long to think to do it.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I think this is a great move. I think that this is the best move they could have made, man. GameStop, first off, GameStop has been doing bad.
Yes.
They only have this second chance at life because of the fucking stocks meme from a couple of years ago. And they're literally competing with Steam and digital distribution. Like, this is only a positive idea. And the fact that it has taken them this long to figure out to do it, maybe they needed that boost from their second win from that stocks thing. I don't know. This is, if anything could possibly keep GameStop on the map, it's going to be this, because you cannot keep competing with online downloads and distribution. And as you see on that list, they are moving to selling things that are not available on online distribution, which is where they will find the most success. The other thing, and now they're going to be competing with like mom and pop shops. So that's going to be harder for those shops because now you're competing with a more well-known name. I don't know where that's going to go, but as far as corporate, this is the best move they could have made.
Yeah. I do think it's probably a good move, but in my opinion, maybe this is a hot take, but I think that the people that they're competing with, I don't really think there's competition. I don't think GameStop's going to offer anything that the people that are going to these stores are not already getting, and the people that are going to these stores are not necessarily like the mass audience. And that's sort of what that's how GameStop was winning the war before. That's how they even had any sort of success, is because they were accessing mass mass audiences that didn't know any better and would pay overprice for used games or whatever. And I think with this market, that's not the case necessarily. There isn't that mass market to get of people. I mean, maybe if they can do the marketing well, they can get some Joe Schmoes to be like, remember those PS2 games you loved so much? Well, you can come down, buy a PS2 and these games. But also you're going to have to convince Joe Schmo that paying $600 for a PS2 and some collection of games is going to be worth it.
I think that's going to be easier than you might think it is.
I don't agree, because it's not even that easy to get people to pay that much for a modern console these days.
Nostalgia's a strong thing, though, man. That's a good point. I think it's super strong. I think somebody would be more willing to pay $200 for a PlayStation 2 in a game they liked as a kid than they would be for a modern console. But I'll say this:
market audiences, to be honest.
I think that GameStop Retro's single biggest strength in all of this is going to be the fact that this is coming to their pre-established physical locations. So let me tell you something about their brick and mortar competitors. So let's say like mom and pop, or, just independent little indie retro game stores. Most towns have one. Every time I've ever seen these little stores, they're always like on the outskirts of something. They're hard to get to. And it's annoying because I like going to them, but I rarely can justify it because it's always like on the other side of town, wherever I live. It's always in like weird, obscure locations, like outside of town where I find them. And they do that because they can't afford these little shops can only stay open because they can't, they try to pay as little in their lease as possible. These GameStop locations, a lot of them already have prime real estate and locations. They're in strip malls and stuff. So people walking around, I think people walking around a mall or like a little strip mall or something, or going to a grocery store where there's a GameStop already in there, are going to be more likely to stick their head in there if they're like, oh shit, there's like PS2 games in there, there's GameCube games and stuff. I mean, I think my Game Boy still works. They have Game Boy games. Then they would be, it's like, oh, it's just a bunch of fucking PS5 games that, I've never heard of.
I do agree with you, but I think that's the other thing though too. Like, GameStop before, a large part of its profit that it was making was probably just from game sales, from people going in and being like, oh, maybe I'll pick up a new PS3 game, a new PS4 game. But now the thing is, if you're accessing that other market that isn't already into collecting retro games or even just playing them, having those consoles on hand, you now have to sell them on the console as well, which is harder. There's not as many people that are like, yeah, I'll just pick up a PS2 game. Most people just don't have a PS2 lying around.
That's true, but I actually think the amount of money they will make from selling refurbished old consoles, even though they might not sell as many games, I think that they'll end up making that back from selling refurbished consoles. Because I think a lot of people who would not fucking buy a console if it wasn't in front of them while they're already in town wouldn't buy it.
I get what you're saying. I can't agree with it just because of the numbers, like the PlayStation 5 is like incredibly successful. There's so many PS5s selling still, even to this day. It's like, it's so successful. And I don't think it's just because it's in front of them. I think that's what most people like to do.
I meant specifically old consoles. I mean specifically old I meant there's a lot of people who don't care enough to go seek out a website and order a PS2. But if they saw it in front of them while they're out, they're like, oh, damn, dude, they have a PS2. What do they have? And then they go look at the old games like, shit, dude, they have it. Yeah. They have this game I loved as a kid. I don't know, man. I've been wanting to treat myself. I can see that happening. Possible. I'm not saying that this is going to be an extremely profitable endeavor or something. I just think that this is going to actually end up being a better move for them.
That's a good point.
Selling a PS5 is that I didn't mean that referring to modern consoles.
I think we definitely agree on it's the best move they could make right now. I don't know. I'm hesitant on whether it'll actually work. I could be wrong. The retro game market is fucking blowing up. It has been for years. So
if it doesn't work, they're fucked. But another advantage they already have is GameStop already sells all the toys and the merch and the shirts and all of that.
But the biggest problem, I think, is the shock that people are going to face when they see the prices. Because, GameStop is going to sell these for an upcharge of whatever they're selling for online. So if they're, if Silent Hill 2 on the PS2 is selling for $200 on eBay, they're going to charge $250. And
I would be shocked if you could find like Silent Hill 2 and stuff in most of these retro shops.
I know. I'm just saying, like, it's not even just Silent Hill 2. Like a lot of these games, I mean, you can, find games, but the games people are going to want to play, the popular games, are usually a bit more overpriced. So
if I could make a prediction, I think you're going to have a huge section of 360 games and then a slightly smaller section of PS3 games. And then I think the amount of PS2 games will be even smaller. And I think like the NES and the SNES and the PS1 and 2, I think they're going to have like a much smaller little section of just like a bunch of like less popular games and maybe like one or two really popular games that are there specifically to draw people, you know? So I think they'll keep like one or two copies of like Silent Hill or something, but they probably will be very expensive and they won't be there to sell as much as they will be to show that they have it.
Yeah.
And then they'll hope to sell some of the other cheaper high profit stuff. But I think it's going to be mostly 360 and PS3 games, honestly.
Yeah. Okay, I'm old enough to remember Electronics Boutique. Every time somebody calls it Electronics Boutique, I always have to I forget that that's EB Games, because I remember EB Games when I was a little kid. I remember going to EB Games with my dad, but yeah, EB Games was sick.
R.I.P.
Locations are great, but will people pay a premium for them? I don't know. That's the question. I think it could go either way. I think it's probably a good move. It's better than what they were doing. It's better than getting into basically the hot topic business, which is what they've been doing for the past like few years.
If they can maintain a little bit of that and also get into retro games, if they can kind of do both, that'll be good. But I'll tell you something. This is a lesson I've had to learn as far as marketing. Whenever you and you guys in the comments, whenever you as a consumer look at something and you say to yourself, this is stupid, why would I want that? You have to take a step back and say, oh, this probably isn't intended for me.
Yeah.
Like there are people who are like 32, they're married with kids, they probably have a little extra free downtime, they make plenty of money, and they're going to be walking around, they're going to be like, oh, retro games, huh? They're going to see the new sound, they're going to walk in and they're going to be like, damn, dude, I remember playing Herb's Sims on the City on my DS.
Dude, I was just looking up clips of Herb's Sims in the City the other day. That game's
I love
sick
that.
as
I used to
fuck.
love that game so much, dude.
That's a great game.
And they're going to be like, they're going to sit there. They have plenty of money. They're going to go, do you guys have a Nintendo DS? Oh yeah, we got a selection. Oh shit, you have like, you got that one. All right. Let me get a copy of Herbs, and I'll play it in between. You see what I'm saying? Just because you as a consumer
they
look
have
at
Tony Hawk's Motion. Let's fucking go.
Yeah, I used to love that. That's who this is for. This is for they're going for that guy.
Yeah. No, I get what you're saying. They are going for that guy. The point I was making, I get that 100%. I get the guy that they're going for.
I more meant the comments because somebody was like, "Are they willing to pay the premium?" So
yeah,
like, they're marketing for the guy who is willing to pay the premium.
Yeah, I'm just saying, are there enough guys out there that are willing to pay the premiums? That's the question, because the premium is starting to get high, and it doesn't look like it's getting any lower.
That is the question.
Yeah.
I don't know about that. That's hard.
Yeah, it's probably the question they're also asking themselves. PS5 is selling well because Stellar Blade. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's why.
Yeah, sorry, I completely forgot about the Stellar Blade factor.
I saw the funniest fucking tweet earlier, where a guy he said this tweet and he said, I haven't spoken out against Grums yet because I've been scared and I've been afraid, but I can no longer stand by and let his something. And then he like said a bunch of stuff about how Grums is like spreading misinformation or whatever. And I just sat there for a second. I was like, you really, from your couch where you probably just had a nice dinner, said, hang on, look, I've been so scared and afraid. Yeah. That'll get him. You really typed that out. And it was like trending and everybody was commenting on making fun of him, but that's neither here nor there. I just couldn't fathom somebody typing, I've been so scared and afraid on their fucking smartphone.
Yeah. Grin says Mark Kern is a weirdo. Listen, we're not. I don't.
Super weird.
I'm not.
That
speaking,
wasn't the point.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm not speaking. Trying to speak for Evan here, but I don't think either of us are fans of Mark Kern or anything.
I don't have a problem with him, by the way. A lot of people have a problem with him. They think that he is like the face of true like incel misinformation or whatever. I don't agree with a lot of what he says. I think
he's annoying. That's my problem with him.
He's really annoying.
It's not deep-rooted or anything.
I think he makes a lot of us look bad because I'm really getting tired. I don't like the sexualization angle of everything.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's okay to say, hey, I would like video game characters or just popular characters in general to promote like healthier lifestyles and idealism and, you know, like kind of be the modern version of what like ancient Greek statues were, you know, the pinnacle of this or that. I think that's fine. But I really hate this disingenuous, they have to be sexually attractive thing. It's like, it shouldn't be about sexual attraction. It should be about like peak physical performance, at least for me.
Yeah. Or like health or something. Sloppy Joe said, has this boosted their stock price? It actually has. If you look at when the news sort of broke on the 28th, it looked like their stock was about $20. And then as of today, it was like 23. So it actually did.
Maybe it'll keep going up.
And they were hitting a bit of a low for their stock price before that, maybe over the past 6 months or so, a low. So it has boosted their stock a little bit. What else? Dreamcast games. Was that listed? Yeah, it was. Dreamcast was listed. I doubt there will be that many of those, but
yeah, exactly. That's what I was kind of saying.
But that is pretty cool. There was I saw a thing on Twitter the other day. There was an English translation of a Dreamcast game that had never been ported, never been translated to the West, and can't remember what it was called. But I saw it and I was like, I kind of just want to download a Dreamcast emulator and play this just to see, you know, like, yeah, just to see what it's about. I have no idea. I just want to go in blind.
I've never played a Dreamcast in my life.
I never played a physical one. Oh no, that's wrong. Because I played Shenmue when I was pretty young, but it was brief. I never had one.
Dude, there's a weird phenomenon. I did that video on every Star Wars game on the PlayStation 1, and two of those games, I believe it was two of those games were fucking awful. Like, they were bad, but it's because they were like not balanced correctly. And then like 5 or 6 months later, the same game got ported to the Dreamcast and it was like way better and all the problems were fixed. And I was like, probably so many more people played this on the PlayStation just because it was a more successful console. And that sucks because the better version was on the fucking Dreamcast.
Many such cases. Many such cases. Houston says, Sun Shenmue retrospective. I've thought about it a couple times. I think I've talked about it on the podcast before. I think we talked about it with maybe Hidden Machine or something. My love of Shenmue. I do quite enjoy Shenmue, but it's, I don't know. I feel like that area is kind of mined a little bit.
It is. There's been a lot of videos on that.
Yeah, that feels like.
I mean, you could probably bring a unique and fresh perspective to it, I think, but you just have to ask yourself if that's something you're willing to do, if that's something that excites you to make.
Yeah, that's one of those things. I think that's the kind of the point I'm at lately is like, I either have to have a huge pull to want to do a series, or it has to be like maybe not as many people have covered it. If it's a super well covered and well documented game, then I'm like, maybe I don't want to, unless it's something like Metal Gear Solid where I'm like, I need to cover this series because I really like it. But
I mean, are you still toying with the RE series coming next after Metal Gear?
I don't know.
That's a big investment, man.
No comment.
Yeah. Well, I was toying with it too, but if you do it, I probably won't do it, or it'll be a few years for me to do it, just because it's probably not wise for us to both cover the same.
Yeah, to both do the same thing.
I probably.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm thinking about it, but I don't know. There's just There's not, if I have a better idea, I'll just do that. But I haven't had a lot of better ideas lately. Like every time I compare one, I'm like, yeah, you know what? Fuck it. Yeah, we'll see.
You're coming up. You're about to be finished with Metal Gear.
It's happening. Well,
are you closing on finishing the script?
For Metal Gear Solid 5?
Yeah.
No, I just finished playing the game.
Oh, so it's probably going to be
yeah, and I'm not even done with Survive yet, so it's going to be a bit. I have a list of notes here on Metal Gear Solid. These are my big ways I want to approach the notes.
I need to get a notepad, man. I need.
It's
to start
so
doing
nice.
That.
These field note things are lame. Listen, I get it. It's very Wes Anderson. It's very Tumblr girl to have a field.
I need
notes
to start doing it, man.
On your desk. But they are handy and they're nice.
I have literally felt the repercussions of not doing that. And I'll tell you what I mean. I've been writing scripts before and I've sat back and thought, fuck, I made a mental note about something to do with this. I don't remember what it was. And that has happened to me so many times. And I might have an L desk and I have this section right here, which would be perfect. I want to get like a candle and like a notepad or something to scribble notes in to my left as I'm playing a game. But I keep drinking so fucking many cans of sparkling water that there's no room. And it's a problem. So I need to figure out what to do because I want to turn this into a nice, like, note-taking L desk.
Yeah.
Because not taking notes is inhibiting my workflow.
We need some sort of donation thing where people can donate $5, $10 to get you to chug a can of sparkling soda, seltzer.
That sounds very uncomfortable, but I do go through them.
It probably would be. Always finishing off one now.
This is grape flavored.
Yeah, it's really nice.
They're so good.
Because I don't use it for big notes. I use it for to-do lists, and then I use it for not detail-oriented notes, but I don't know if you do this, but when I'm approaching a script, I'll have, and again, this is kind of inside baseball, but I'll have a list of like big points that I want to touch on. Like the big, let's call them themes. Some of them aren't themes, but whatever. Big points I want to touch on. And then I'll sort of write the script and I'll find the places where those big points are best punctuated, where they're best made and things like that. And this notebook is perfect for those big points as I'm playing or as I'm watching stuff and like back through cutscenes and everything. Like it'll just hit me and I'm just like, oh, that's the big thing. I've seen it in like 5 places now. So I got to write that down. But yeah, I don't really use it for small stuff.
Yeah, I would probably use it for small stuff because I tend to remember the big stuff. It's just I need little detailing work.
Yeah, that stuff I like to do on on my computer because then I can just type it fast because I hate writing. I really don't like writing stuff down. I only use it for stuff I really need to remember because I have such a bad fucking memory.
Dizzy Lane wants a RE retrospective. I do too, but it's just because I want to be able to play through the co-op games with him because I've never gotten to play a Resident Evil game with someone who's never played one before.
Yeah. I think that's probably the way I would approach it too, as somebody that just has almost no experience with this series. That's how I would have to approach it. Yeah.
Some of the best video games ever made. I've told you before, I've said on stream, I think Resident Evil 4 is my favorite game of all time, and I think it's one of very few games I would call a quintessential 10 out of 10, as close to flawless as you can get.
Yeah,
RE4 is one of quintessential 10 out of 10.
Yeah, 4 is great.
Doing a video on that actually.
I do remember 4 being very good. It was good.
Most of the Resident Evil games are good, but 4 is one of the greatest video games of all time, which is a little bit different.
Yeah, I also haven't played it in years. And I played it on the Wii, which was good. It was fun.
I mean, it's hard not to be good because it's Resident Evil 4, but also there's better ways to play than the Wii.
It was pretty cool, though. That was a great Wii game. It was a really good Wii game.
It's really hard to do Resident Evil 4 wrong.
Adding any sort of immersion to Resident Evil 4 always seems to work. VR, Wii motion controls.
They're just really well-made games.
Yeah, it's almost like, if you immerse yourself in a good game, it's good. Okay. Do you want? I kind of wanted to talk about this thing about the Baldur's Gate 3 devs. Did you see this at all?
I saw one of the Baldur's Gate 3. I think it was one. It was is Larian? Are they the ones who do Baldur's Gate 3? Or
Yes.
are they? Yeah, I saw one of the devs do like a huge long thread about how much he loved Star Wars Outlaws, how it's actually one of the greatest video games of all time. But other than that, no, I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't know if that's this same thread, but the Larian devs. Now the $10 super chat from Houston. Now listen, I don't have the alert thing is not on the fucking screen right now. I don't know why. It's on this one, but I don't know. Maybe it'll pop up. Go ahead and face one of them sparkling waters. Son and Evan, great convo so far. Love both of y'all's stuff very much. Keep up the good work, gents. Thank you very much for the 10.
I'm not going to crack open a new one, but this one's mostly full. I will. I'll chug it for you right here.
Okay, wait. Hold. Oh. No, you can continue.
Why am I waiting? Why am I waiting?
Because I was switching scenes. You're good. Chug, 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 chug.
Thank you for the $10, Houston. Keep supporting the show. Stop drinking sodas. Drink sparkling water. Much better for you.
Hell yes. Yeah. Thank you very much. So yeah, this was I just thought this was interesting, and I don't exactly agree with it or whatever, but I thought it was an interesting topic to start off with. So this is one of the Larian devs on Twitter said, I think a game should be priced accordingly with its quality, breadth, and depth. I'm not against higher prices, but this arbitrary uniformity just doesn't make sense to me. It feels so unserious. Almost all games should cost more at a base level because the cost of making them, inflation for one, is outpacing pricing trends. But I don't think we'll get there with DLC promises so much as quality. This is going to be, I have a separate rant in a second that I'll go on, but hold on. So much as quality and communication, everyone's just waiting for GTA 6 to do it. Lol. Before we get into this, I have a rant. I was thinking about this week and I forgot to write it down. There's something to be said about the internet and how it has destroyed our ability to write out readable sentences.
You're right.
It's gotten so bad. Anytime I'm on Twitter, there's either a missing word that somebody assumed was there. There's either just, it's not even just like little grammatical errors. Like, I'm not nitpicky like that. I don't care. It's like a literal readable sentence. Like, I can't read this. It says, but I don't think we'll get there with DLC promises so much as quality and communication. What does that mean?
Does he have a check mark? Does he have Twitter Blue?
Yeah.
Okay, well then there's no fucking reason for that, because
you can
if you don't have, if you don't pay for Twitter, you only have a certain character amount.
Yeah.
But if you do pay for Twitter, you can make huge long posts and you can edit them.
Yeah.
There's no excuse for that. You're not trying to match a word count.
It's so annoying. And I see it on every site. I see it in comments. I see it in captions on Instagram and stuff. It's just the way people write now. And it's not slang. That's not what I'm talking about. Maybe people don't share the sentiment, but it's so tough reading stuff sometimes because people just don't make it readable. And it's they expect you to read it in their voice that they were thinking in when they wrote it, which is insane to expect from anyone reading the prose that you've written. It's aggravating. I hate it.
English might not be his first language, but first off, I mean, the problem that you're talking about is very real. And actually, the thing I said earlier about the guy who sat down on his couch from the safety of his room after a nice dinner and said, "I've been so scared and afraid."
Yeah.
People really don't think about what they're saying and how other people will take it. They're chilling. They got Netflix on. They're like, "Oh, I have a thought. All right."
Well,
they don't double check. They don't think about it.
Yeah. And it's not a, you can usually tell. So, we were talking about this last week. I don't know if we talked about this on the pod or off the pod, but we were talking about Black Myth Wukong and its success. And I was saying that you can tell that most of its fans are like from China, because I mean, it's a Chinese game by Chinese developers and it's Chinese mythology, of course. But if you look at like the YouTube comments on anything related to Black Myth Wukong, it's a lot of like broken English, you know. You can tell when it's like broken English. This isn't broken English. It's just, it's Twitter. It's like, it's internet writing and how you write on the internet.
It's just not double checked.
Yeah, it's so bad. And it literally gets to the point sometimes where I'm on my phone and I'm reading something and I feel like I'm going insane because I read it like 4 times to try and figure out what it's saying. And I'm like, what? Am I nuts? Like, am I schizo? Like, what's going on? But no, it's just the way people write. It's crazy. But anyways, back to this thing. So he's saying sort of 2 things. And I think I agree with one of the points. And then one of the other point, maybe I don't agree with. The first point is that I think a game should be priced according to its quality, breadth, and depth. I think I'm in favor of that. I think I'm in favor of like cheaper games if they aren't as, you know, large, and you know, full price if they are. And that seems like what we generally do now, for the most part.
I was about to say, the funny thing about that is that's exactly how it works now.
Yeah.
He is saying that, but he's actually leaving a subtle, unsaid implication. What he's actually trying to say is, I think games should launch with that. And also, who measures that? Who gets to decide that other than the developer? Most developers are going to decide, yeah, this is worth the full price. Some are self-aware enough to say, oh, this is worth, you know, a little less. This is a $20 game. But most developers are going to say this is worth the full price, regardless of, you know, what anyone else. So who decides that? Is that going to be government mandated, government restricted? Because as it is now, if you give it 1 year, the game's price will drop according to the interest of the market. And the interest of the market is almost always going to be based on the exact parameters he just gave, which are, what do you say, quality, depth, and what?
Quality, breadth, and depth.
Yeah, that happens. A game comes out, wait for 2 years, and some games are still going to be 60, some games are going to be 30, some games are going to be 5. And most of the time, that's going to be based on the factors he just stated. That happens, that exists. What he's saying is, I don't think games should launch at a uniform full price. But that's not what he said. But that is the implication.
Yes. And the other thing is, like you said, people are already doing this. Remedy did this with Alan Wake 2. They felt one of the reasons they did this, you know, was because they didn't feel like it was a $60 experience or whatever, but also because it was not launching with physical editions and they couldn't afford it. So they said, well, we'll bump it down $10 so that people don't have to pay as much for a game they're not getting physically. That's honest. That's an honest thing to do.
How does Remedy keep like being on the brink of not having any money?
I don't know. It's probably marketing stuff. Their games seem expensive. I mean, if you look at Alan Wake 2, and that's the thing, is when I played Alan Wake 2, I wasn't like, oh yeah, this should have been $50. I was like, no, they would be completely justified in charging $60 for this game. This is a full AAA experience.
They're independent, right?
I don't think they've been bought by anybody, but I believe like I think Alan Wake 2 was published by Epic.
Well, you know, it's just weird. You probably saw this already. I'm surprised we didn't think to put it in the title or whatever, but Remedy has partnered in a 50-50 deal to produce Control 2. Did you see that?
No, I didn't actually. I saw the thing about them making movies or whatever, but I didn't see the Control 2 thing.
No. Annapurna Pictures. Yeah, is going to be funding half. I'm surprised we didn't fucking talk about this. It slipped my mind. It's going to be funding half of the development for the budget of Control 2. But did Alan Wake not do well enough? Why do they need, like, how is it?
You didn't hear about Alan Wake? Alan Wake 2 still has not made a profit.
Damn.
Yeah.
Why?
It has not. To be honest, I
haven't played it. I wasn't interested in it, but
to be honest, I don't really know. And the thing is, like, obviously it hasn't done that well. We can't really see, stats aren't, maybe it has something to do with the Epic Games Store release, because it only released on Epic. It didn't release on
probably a bad
Steam.
idea. Maybe we need Sam Lake to dance on stage some more. Maybe that'll help.
And it is crazy. I mean, he's very popular. The stuff of him at the Game Awards was like one of the most talked about things there. People seem to love the games. I don't know. Maybe they're just not playing them. It's very odd. It doesn't really make sense. Maybe they're just spending so much on it that it's not profitable. Maybe their market is just a heavy PC market and they didn't like the Epic Games thing. There's a lot of factors to it, but
I kind of, this is purely speculation, I kind of think that their budget for these games might be inflated for what the concepts are. All these Remedy games are typically a little bit more of what they're like indie concepts with AAA budgets. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And there's a lot more development costs too in shooting live action. And there's a lot of live action stuff in their games. And if you have to incorporate any CG or anything like that, like looking back into Metal Gear Solid 4, that intro sequence that they did with those five shows were ridiculously expensive. And those were short. There's a lot of live action stuff in Remedy, so maybe that's a big factor in their budget, but it's also like integral to their style.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of hard.
Yeah, I guess that's true. I don't know, man. I liked Alan Wake a lot, and then I really liked American Nightmare. I have not played Alan Wake 2 because I watched some trailers and then I watched some gameplay footage, and I didn't feel a spark of interest once. I'm not saying I wouldn't like it, but there is something about that game that did not capture me at all the way the first two did. I don't know what it is, but I looked and I was like, this does not look exciting to me.
Since Alan Wake came out, Remedy has had a complete shift in tone, style, the reliance on sort of like the multiverse forward planning thing. I don't think that was as big of a focus when Alan Wake came out. And Alan Wake came out way before, like a long time before Alan Wake 2. 2010 to 2023. It was 13 years. And that was the other thing too that I kind of thought, I was like, maybe there just wasn't interest. Control was a huge success because there was a new IP and people loved it. But Alan Wake 2, I just think it was such a big valley between those releases that people weren't really interested and didn't really understand the concept as much.
I don't think it was a wise decision either to attempt the whole dual protagonist angle. Does that make sense? I haven't played the game, so I don't know if it was executed well, but I know one of the things that lost interest in me was I don't really want to play a game called Alan Wake if I'm not just playing as Alan Wake the whole time. I don't really like dual perspective games very much. I think I've only played one game where the perspective is shifted between protagonists that I liked, and it's fucking Halo 2, you know? I tend to not like games that shift my perspectives around. The original Killzone did that, and I didn't like it. I'm not a big fan of that, and I think that a lot of people might not like that either. I don't know. I didn't like that. That turned me off to it.
I don't know if a lot of people don't like that. I would venture to say that that's probably not the case, especially when you have so much media that does shift perspectives now because of like the success of Game of Thrones. And now, you know, the door has been opened to have like 1 million characters' perspectives portrayed in a show at a time. And that's just
I like that in shows.
Yeah.
I just don't like it in video games.
I know.
I mean, unless it's a game like Until Dawn, you know?
I'm just saying, I think that is pretty popular as a thing. I mean, listen, it pulled it off amazingly. Like it's perfect. It's done very well. And all of the mechanics that they do in that game is like are fantastic as well. It's a great game.
I remember you saying that you were a big fan of it.
I think Origami makes a good point though. AAA budget needs broad appeal. Alan Wake 2 was pretty good, but I don't think it had mass appeal. I don't think it had mass appeal just from the style of it alone, but also the fact that it was kind of this culmination of everything that Remedy had been doing for the past, you know, however many years since even Max Payne, technically. And it was kind of a culmination of all of that, and that doesn't appeal to people who like, maybe you've only played Control, maybe you've only played Alan Wake 1, maybe you've only played Quantum Break, maybe you've only played Max Payne. Like, you don't have all the pieces to put this puzzle together and really have excuse me, have it make sense. So they narrowed the market even more with the fact that it was kind of this culmination game of all of their years of experience. It's unfortunate. It's good for fans that we got that game. I'm happy. People that love Remedy, we made it. You know, like, it's awesome that we got that game, but
might not make it again, but you made it.
Control 2 is probably going to do super well. Control 1 did amazing, and that game has been
I've seen a lot of people really liked Control. I don't know that I've ever seen anyone say a negative word about that game. I've never played it, but I've only ever heard people talking positively about that game.
It's great. They haven't really made a bad game in a while. Like, I think Quantum Break's really the only one that I could say is like iffy. Like, it's not as good, but it's still great. They're probably one of my favorite studios.
That's exactly what I was saying. Oregon Paper Cut. Indie sensibility with a AAA budget is not a very good idea.
It's harder to sell. Control, if you compare Control and Alan Wake 2, I mean, Control wasn't a full-on like horror game. It didn't market it as itself as a full-on horror game. Alan Wake 2 did.
I don't know if that was a problem, because you have a lot of games that market themselves as horror games and do exceptionally well.
Yeah, but it was it was a little different. It was marketing itself as kind of like if you look at the trailers and stuff from that game, it was kind of marketing itself as like a really like terrifying horror. Like, the point I'm trying to make is that I think that it's not even the same player base at all. The Venn diagram doesn't cross very much between Control and Alan Wake 2, you know?
Yeah. They probably would have had more success if they had marketed it as some kind of fucking multiverse bullshit for when it came out anyway.
Yeah.
Quirky micro. I mean, they really should have hammered in we're the quirky multiverse game. If that probably would have been better.
Yeah. It's weird though, because that's like not what they're doing. You know, like, it's hard because
I've only seen a little bit of it, but isn't there like a full like choreographed dance number? I don't know of a horror game that would have that. That's like quirky multiverse game to me. That's what I think of when I haven't played it. And if I played it, I probably have a very different idea of what Alan Wake is. But because of what I've seen in the fucking like Gamescom, not Gamescom, the stuff that they've done on stage, the only thing I know about Alan Wake 2 is that it has this big quirky dance number and it's so epic and indie or whatever. That's like what I think of when I think of Alan Wake 2. I don't know anything else about it.
I mean, I can sit here and say, I can tell you what it's like all day and give you like contextual reasons, but you haven't played it, so you're just going to keep that. You're going to keep that sentiment.
But I'm asking, is that not accurate in any way? Is that like a one-off thing that in the game?
Yeah, it's in the game, but there's context to it, obviously.
Right, but I'm saying most of the game actually is scary, and that's like a little like one-off thing.
No, you said it was quirky multiverse horror. I was saying that, or it was a quirky multiverse game, or they should have leaned more into that. I was saying the thing is, like, that's an aspect of what they're doing, but it's not really what they're doing. Like, it's hard to explain. It's hard to explain unless you know all of like everything that's happened.
Okay, maybe just we'll sum it up in this. Is it more horror game than it is that?
Alan Wake 2? Probably, yeah.
So it's more horror game than it is whatever that was.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. That's literally
maybe leaning into horror probably was more accurate then.
And that part of it is kind of, I mean, it has its like horror undertones as well, because it's, you know, forcing somebody to do this thing. I don't know. It's hard to explain. There's a lot of context to explain yes. Like why that scene is in the game. If you haven't played it.
just nailed it. Weird horror is harder to appeal to general horror fans, and that has been the case.
That's what I was trying to say. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, think about Twin Peaks. Like,
yeah,
people don't. The people who like weird horror fucking embody it. It's all they care about. It's their favorite thing in the fucking world. But it's not successful because most people don't like it.
Well,
I like weird horror,
but that's the perfect example, because the original Alan Wake was based on Twin Peaks.
Yeah, it was.
And if you suggest to somebody that they watch Twin Peaks because they liked The Conjuring, you're not going to have a satisfied person at the end of the day. It's not the same thing. And that's the same thing. If you suggest to somebody that they play Alan Wake 2 because they like Outlast, you're not going to have a satisfied person at the end of the day. It is weird horror. It's horror is an element, but it's like a pastiche of a lot of different things. It's probably the most horror game they've ever made. It's definitely more horror than the original Alan Wake, but their games are really hard to box in. They're this weird multimedia, multi-genre thing, and yeah, it's just difficult.
Makes me wonder if there is a time, an expiration date on this company.
I think that they're going to have to. I think Control 2 is going to be a really big success for them, and I think the Max Payne remakes are going to be a huge success for them as well.
Are those confirmed? I think I heard about that.
Yeah, they've been confirmed for a while.
That's their best bet, I think. Because I've never played Max Payne.
Those are like the next like 3 things they have coming out are Control 2, a Control multiplayer, and the Max Payne remakes. Like those things are all for sure hits. I don't think they're going to have many more unprofitable things in their near future. It seems like to me that their business model thus far has been, let's make something that's guaranteed to make money, and then let's make like one thing that maybe isn't going to hit, and then we'll make a bunch more things that make money, and then make like one thing that maybe isn't going to hit. One for me, one for you, sort of thing.
Are they handling Max Payne in-house, or do they license that out?
It's Rockstar.
Oh, really? Okay, interesting.
Or Rockstar's publishing it, but I think they're working on it.
I just thought it was interesting that they worked out a 50-50 deal with a movie company. It
hasn't seemed like they've like their outlook hasn't been good greatly or lately. Let's say.
That's probably if it was that or like Go Under, that's the best thing they could have done, because if they sold, there really would be an expiration date.
Oh yeah, for sure.
If they sold, they would try to make another Remedy game, and then a bunch of producers would be like, "This is all stupid. Do these things that sell."
You know what
they would do that.
They would immediately do is they would make a crossover game right now. They would make it an Alan Wake and Control crossover game immediately and put as many like big overt references into it as you could. That's exactly what they would do, and people would be like, "Ah, damn." Because that's not really the goal at the end. It kind of is, but not really. It's hard to explain.
And then they'd get shut down.
Yeah. I have a bad feeling about the multiplayer game. Not that it'll be bad, but I don't think it'll go well. I don't know. On one hand, I really see the appeal of playing control gameplay and multiplayer, and I can see a lot of people showing up for that. But getting into multiplayer when you make single player games is always a crapshoot. So who knows?
Yep.
Max Payne isn't unplayable though. Even now, same vibe as Disney remaking movies that are fine. Yeah, I mean, listen. I'm not knocking down Remedy's doors to remake Max Payne 1 and 2. If I want to play Max Payne, I'll just play it right now. It's a great game. It still
I think Max Payne could be a good game for a remake, because so much of that game is atmosphere, and it would be really cool to see snowy New York in super high fidelity graphics.
I think my thing on remakes is I'm always just sort of hesitant in general. I think if you don't have to, if the game's not already available, then just port it. If it really doesn't function well and didn't get balance changes or it has a lot of bugs, remaster it and fix the bugs. And
I think the best way to go about remasters, or even especially remakes, is you need to have access to the original voice lines, and you need to carry them over, because you can't let any.
Oh, your mic. Classic, Evan.
This is part of my character arc. Is my ever never ending. No, you can, as long as you don't let any other fucking numbskull get into the writer's room and be like, oh well, here's what my take on it is. I think it's good. You know,
Well,
like
that's
if they
always the possibility though. That's always the fear.
Yeah,
is
that's
like
the problem.
that could
So
happen.
with-
And the other thing too is it's even more complicated because James McCaffrey passed away last year or this
Gotta
year.
reuse
I
the
think.
voice lines.
So you have to reuse the voice lines at this point.
But Delta's doing it.
Reusing the voice lines.
Yeah, which is fantastic. That skyrocketed my faith in the Snake Eater remake. Is when I heard, oh yeah, we're not doing any rewriting or re-recording. We're just reusing the others. The two Halo remasters did that. Of course, Delta's doing it. There's been some other games that did that. I think Destroy All Humans, that remake did it. That was a full-on remake. That is the best way to go for me. If you do that, I'm in.
We talked about this with Avalanche at one point, and I said something to the effect of, I feel like a few years ago, because of the big prevalence of the Resident Evil remakes and because of the success of some other remakes, people are just sort of like they're just naturally shifted to like, oh yeah, remakes are good now. We can make good remakes. And I think I'm still sort of in the camp we were all in before, which was fuck remakes. And I just haven't really left yet. Maybe I'll shift over to the other camp at some point, but I don't know. I'm just still trepidatious. I've seen it go bad so many times.
Yeah,
it's just.
I think most remakes are bad, but I think that the ones that are good, and there are games that I think that could really stand to just be outright remade.
As long as the original games are easily accessible, though, at the end of the day, I literally don't care. And Max Payne 1 and 2 are very easily accessible on Steam. So do whatever you want. At the end of the day, like, even if I have complaints about it, even if it's not good, I don't really give a shit because the originals are still there.
Yeah, just make the originals accessible. And that should always be like a good idea. Like if you remake a game, then it should come with like a port of the original. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, Max Payne remake makes a lot more sense to me than the Dead Space remake made.
Yeah, but the Dead Space remake was just so damn good.
Yeah, well, the Max Payne remake might be really good.
We can't compare them though because it's not out.
I have a lot of problems with the Dead Space remake, but that's
I'm saying when the Dead Space remake came out, I was not on board. I was like, I don't think I'm gonna like this. This is probably gonna suck, and I'm probably gonna think it was unnecessary. So whatever, but it came out and I fucking loved it. So I could be wrong.
I've never played any of the Chrono games.
Neither have I. I've wanted to for a very long time, but I've never done that. That's a good Grin brings up a good thing that I kind of wanted to ask you. Kind of ironic that Konami snubbed Kojima when he snubbed David Hayter. How do you feel about the Kiefer Sutherland being in MGS5?
Well, when it first happened, I was all up in arms about it, and I hated it, and I was blah 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 blah. I think I don't know that Kojima or the people who work on the Metal Gear games actually understood how much David Hayter's voice had become synonymous with the Solid Snake character, because they didn't hear it that way most of the time.
Yeah.
They heard the Japanese iteration. And so every other game, it's not that big of a deal. The other characters shift voice actors all the time. Leon shifted voice actors from Resident Evil 4 to Resident Evil 6. It wasn't uncommon. You always reshifted voice actors. So I think it probably caught them all off guard. I heard David Hayter say one time that they made him re-audition for every game he was in.
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen that.
He was like, what? He was like re-auditioning for Metal Gear Solid 4. He's like, what the hell, dude? I've been doing this for a while. I think I'm, which I mean, that is probably kind of shitty. If he's pulled through well 3 times, you probably just give him the fucking job. But outside of that, I can understand why it probably caught them way off guard. Other protagonists had their Western voice actors replaced multiple times, and I don't think that they really understood it. And also, I really don't know if Kojima was ever trying to snub anyone. I think he is a fucking cinephile, think he was really excited about the idea of having the budget to cast a Hollywood actor. I think he met with Kiefer Sutherland and was like, oh yeah, this is gonna be really cool. And he was just excited about it. Now, I also think David Hayter would have done a better job, but David Hayter wasn't, they're not the same human being in the game. Venom Snake is a different human than
by the way,
Boss.
spoilers for MGS5, anybody.
Yeah.
I think, I was going to say, I think the thing is, I don't love it, but I didn't, there was always a story justification to me. There was always like, well, it's Venom. It's not Big Boss. So it makes sense that it would be a literal different voice for him. But, the thing is, I wish there would have just been one thing where, like, at the end on the tape, that was David Hayter.
I was going to say that next.
That would have fixed everything for me. That would have been like, okay, now that we're revealing it, the guy that's actually Big Boss is David Hayter. And now it was confirmed this was all. And I'm sure that's why they did it, too. Part of the reason why Kojima wanted to do it was because this is a different person. I'm sure there was that justification, but I don't know. It also does not look great on Kojima that it kind of seems from the outside that he was like, well, I can get a Hollywood actor in here. Fuck you, David Hayter. Get the fuck out. You know? Yeah. But
they could have had David be in Ground Zeroes. No, there's a fan theory. It's not confirmed, but I totally 1000% subscribe to it, that Ground Zeroes isn't necessarily real. Did you see that? There's a Python Selkin video where it's like Ground Zeroes is actually in Venom Snake's head during the coma, because there's things that Kaz says in Ground Zeroes that are completely false.
Yeah.
When compared to Peace Walker, like Kaz says a line in Ground Zeroes about the situation with the original Mother Base that Big Boss would have already known was a lie, like the big lie. And he says that as if it wasn't a lie in Ground Zeroes, which means that everybody's using that speculation to be like, oh, this isn't Big Boss because Kaz wouldn't be saying that. But this character, this Venom Snake, the medic, still thinks that's what happened.
The thing that doesn't break that, the thing that breaks that though, with the voice part of it anyways, is that in the hospital, the Ishmael is not voiced by David Hayter. You know what I mean?
I think that would have been fine, because I think you could have just chopped that up to that being like a brain quirk in Venom Snake who just woke up from a coma. And
that's kind of how I chopped it up too. Yeah.
Yeah, he's also gone under extensive hypnagogia. You know what I mean? Like,
or like the second time that you do it, then it's Hayter's voice when he's remembering it correctly from the right perspective. You know,
that would have been way better.
I would have loved that, because then everything kind of would have fit, especially with that theory. But I think I've seen a little bit about that theory, but not really. I guess it kind of fits. It makes sense, and it makes sense because he has the he has the sequence that he imagines on Mother Base with Pause too. So
yeah, I'll try to find the video, but you should definitely watch it before you write your script, because like there is a lot of compelling evidence that Ground Zeroes is part of his like hypnagogia programming.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like I said before though, I don't, when I'm doing videos, I don't like to theorize what is actually happening to the characters. You know what I mean? I like to think about like, what does this mean in the like themes of the story? I'm less interested in like, oh, okay, so maybe this character's alive or something.
Oh, I like to touch on everything.
Yeah. I'm not as interested, because it gets so hairy to me. It gets overwhelming, I think, to me, because I'm like, well, then anything's fucking possible. You know?
Well, that one in particular it's the biggest thing. I mean, there's a lot of evidence, but the biggest chunk of evidence is that Kaz has a line where I forget what the line is, but he says a line that he would never say post reveal at the end of Peace Walker. He would never say it to Big Boss. And it's like, why is this here? Either that is a writing error or there's something else going on. You know? Yeah.
Or maybe it was originally intended that was Venom and something, I don't fucking know. And that line just got left in. There's the thing about Metal Gear 5 that gets so hairy is because of the development. everything's in question. You're like, you have no idea
Which
what
is
was
super
originally
appropriate for that game.
Yeah,
if there was ever a game for that to be appropriate for,
that's true.
That one.
That's true. Yeah, but everything's in question. You never know what was Kojima's intention, what was Konami.
We've all been under
in.
hypnagogia. The Phantom Pain isn't real.
Yeah, we're all the game was our phantom. Yeah, so it's
the Phantom Pain itself has phantom pains. It is a phantom pain.
Yeah, it all gets so you know.
There was never a chapter 3. It actually was finished. Kojima did that on purpose so that you would feel what it felt like to not have that last limb.
I've seen that. I've definitely seen that. This is an interesting question. Son and Evan, what are both of y'all's fave tracks in the MGS5 80s music catalog? I gotta go obvious here, but that fucking rendition of The Man Who Sold the World is like amazing. I listen to that all the time.
That's a classic one. I would not ever use the 80s music in Phantom Pain. It always felt completely like game breaking to me. When I played Phantom Pain, I was trying to play Venom Snake. I was trying to like play it immersive. So I do this thing when I play. Do you know how you talk about playing indie games and you're like, even if they're bad, I want to play them. I want to try to figure out what the dev was going for.
Yeah.
I do something really similar when I play games where I'm like, I want to play this like the developer intended. There's a lot of gamers who play it and they like want to do their own thing. They want to try to break the game, see what they can and can't do. I think that's reasonable. That's fine. But it's very easy to have me follow in the confines of what the developer wants because I want to play it the way they want me to play it. And I also want to immerse myself into the character in all of the ways that I think would make sense for that character, which is one of the reasons Starfield was so hard for me to play because that's all other thing. So
yeah, let's not get into that.
Yeah. The thing about Venom Snake was I picked up from his character is he's very stoic. He's very tortured. He struggles with a lot of like psychological problems. I could never picture him like jamming to 80s music while he's doing anything. So when I played any of the missions, it was serious. Like I'm in here, I'm taking lives. So I think I pretty much never listened to any of the 80s music ever. When the chopper came in, there was no music playing. It was we're extracting out of here, blaring fucking Take on Me from the speakers. It's giving away our position to everybody. Yeah, I didn't do that.
The way I look at it, and again, the reason why The Man Who Sold the World is good is because it's like a sad, really sad version of that song. And yeah, it's kind of like, it's kind of like total Sigma mode in MGS5. He's got those headphones in and he's like, I never lost control. And he's like shooting people, like he's crying. That's kind of how I envisioned it. But yeah, I agree. Like She Blinded Me with Science or something doesn't really fit with that.
Great song though.
Yeah. The track list is really good. I do agree though. The thing about, the fucking song Here's to You, Nicola and Bart, that being in the game never made any sense to me because that was in MGS4 because that was supposed to reflect the original ending that MGS4 was supposed to have, which is that Otacon and Snake were supposed to turn themselves in and get executed by a firing squad. And it was supposed to that song is about two people that did that. They got executed by a firing squad. And the fact that it's in this game doesn't make any fucking sense. Like they just put
it's just a callback.
Yeah, it's just a callback, I guess. But I was always like, why did they fucking? It's a good song though. That is a really good song.
If you're ever gonna pick one, Ride of the Valkyries is the only helicopter song option.
Oh, come on. That's such a basic bitch option. Love Will Tear Us Apart's a pretty good one too. A lot of Joy Division and The Cure in there because Kojima's a freak for Joy Division and The Cure. Have you ever heard the Nirvana version of The Man Who Sold the World?
No, I don't think I have.
Have you ever watched the Unplugged that they did?
No. I'm not like a big Nirvana fan.
It's pretty good. It's a pretty good Unplugged. They did it was all covers. It was all like covers of like kind of older songs. And they did that one, and there was another one that was really good from that too. But the Midge Yuri version might be better. Nicola and Bart were wrongfully persecuted for their beliefs, so I think that's why it was left in. also wrongfully accused of crimes they didn't commit.
Kind of fits.
That's interesting. I'm gonna steal that and write that down and use it in my video.
Like it's like Hal Emmerich.
Huh?
No, it's like Huey.
Yeah,
Huey was
Huey.
wrongfully accused of crimes he didn't commit.
Yeah, he was wrong. He was the good guy the whole time, actually.
Yeah, he was the good guy.
He was the protagonist.
Dude, one of my favorite okay, so I fucking hate it when any story does that thing where like the moment is usurped, you know? Like the moment's happening and you're feeling it and then it gets usurped by something. But the best version of that I've ever seen is when Kaz and Snake make the decision to walk away from Skullface and then Huey shoots him in the head.
Yeah.
And it's like the moment is ruined and usurped. I'm like, okay.
He says he says like the craziest thing you could ever say. Yeah, revenge. Like that might be I got a chill down my spine when I rewatched that because I was like, whoa, what the fuck? Can you imagine? Oh, God.
That's one of the only times I've seen that little technique done where I was like, okay,
yeah,
that's how you do that. That is how you do that.
Yeah, crazy. Okay, I think we had like one more thing to talk about, didn't we?
Did we?
Yeah, the Batman Matt Reeves.
Oh, yeah. The Batman Matt Reeves game.
Yeah, so there's a rumor.
I thought James Gunn already said no to that, didn't he?
I don't know. So this is what the story said. There was a report on Puck News from a film insider, and they said that AT&T was trying to sell Warner Brothers Interactive Entertainment for $4 billion, but then they decided that it was too valuable to unload. And overall, they see games as strategic, and he said that they are beginning to collaborate more closely on properties like the upcoming Penguin HBO show Endgame, which makes it sound like they're making a Penguin game.
It does make it sound like that.
Which the
grammar is important, kids.
Yeah, this article says it's unlikely that it will be focused around the Penguin, as Baloney seems to suggest above, with the Dark Knight himself surely a more viable protagonist. I mean, listen, they've made stupider decisions in the past. I can see that happening. True. Also, why the fuck are they making a Penguin show? Did you ask yourself that question when they announced that too?
Yeah, I did you watch the Batman?
Mm-hmm.
What did you think of that movie?
We've talked about this a few times. It was fine. I need to rewatch it. It was long.
I think that Colin Farrell's like Penguin. I'm not saying it was good enough to warrant its own TV show, but I think it was good enough that a producer or two looked at it and said, this needs its own TV show. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I think happened.
Well,
I think they thought of that, and Matt Reeves said, sure, that's great. I'll do it.
You know what it was? It wasn't even that, because I remember when the Batman came out and all anybody was tweeting about or writing articles about or anything was the makeup that he was wearing and how different he looked and what a good performance he gave. I think it was just I think it was just a fucking analytics program. I think it was just a program that was running data on what everybody was talking about in the reception to the movie. And they were like, Colin Farrell as the Penguin's hot right now. Everybody loved that. And they were like, well, we got to do more. And they were like, okay, let's do it.
Let's do a TV series that ties into it and connects it to the sequel.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, that
does not appeal to me even in the slightest.
No, dude. I would sooner watch both seasons of Pennyworth. I would sooner watch. No, there's 3 seasons. There's 3 seasons.
I fucking forgot about that show, and I forgot that it got 3 seasons. It's crazy.
The 3rd season is just V for Vendetta. Did you know that?
No, I didn't.
Because that's a DC comic.
Wait, really? It's the actual. Wait, really?
Yeah, the 3rd season is V for Vendetta of Pennyworth.
What the?
I haven't seen it, but I know that that's what happened because everybody was talking about how big this was that they're doing the V for Vendetta story in the 3rd season of Pennyworth.
What the? That's insane.
I haven't seen it. I can't believe it got 3 seasons.
That Gotham universe was some of the craziest shit to come out of that whole.
Pennyworth's not even connected to the Gotham universe.
It's not? I thought it was.
No, it's just it's its own fucking Alfred Pennyworth origin story. It has no connection to anything. It's like Krypton. It's like this Krypton show that got 2 seasons, and it was Superman's grandfather. Did you ever see that?
Yeah, I saw like the first episode, I think.
Yeah, Lobo was in the second season and all that. Yeah, so yeah, that also unrelated.
It has
everything.
nothing to Jesus Christ. That Gotham show was crazy though. Craziest Joker I've ever seen in my life.
I kind of thought there were some good aspects to that show. I watched a lot of the Gotham show because I love Batman. I'm a big Batman fan.
Yeah.
I think more of Gotham was bad than there was good. And it also did you know there was supposed to be a Gotham PD show that was connected to the Penguin?
I did know that. Yeah.
I saw them announce Gotham PD and I was like, but didn't we just fucking do this?
Didn't that get made? I thought there was a season
did
of
it?
that. Maybe I was
thought
wrong.
It got canceled.
No, it didn't. Yeah, it got dropped.
Okay, that's what I heard. It got dropped. So they're just doing the Penguin, and then I think they're going to do Penguin Batman 2, and then they're going to let that be like 2 movies in the interconnecting series. I think that's what they're going to do with it. And because DC, despite what they've said, I'm convinced DC is trying to get the hell away from disconnected projects.
Yep.
James Gunn keeps being like, oh no, we'll do Elseworld movies. I think the only reason they're doing Joker 2 is because Joker was so profitable.
Yeah,
I think they
wouldn't be doing the Batman 2 if it wasn't so fucking profitable. But both of those movies just did so well. There's a reason they're not doing Elseworlds of fucking Aquaman with Jason Momoa. You know, they're not doing it because it's not profitable. If it keeps making money, they might figure out a way to work it in. But they want that connected universe money. They want that multiverse shit.
If this new Superman movie does not do really good, I think they might just give up.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think it looks good personally, but
yeah. We haven't really seen anything from it. I'm holding out because I think James Gunn's made some good shit. He's all right. And I liked that Suicide Squad movie that he did. I think he's good at taking nobody characters and making something out of them. We've yet to kind of see how good he is at taking very established.
He's in the closet. Sorry about that.
Go
ahead.
We've yet to see how good he is at taking very established, larger characters that have a lot of source material and adapting them. So I think that's going to be a different challenge.
Yeah, I don't want to be, but I am a fan of comic book movies. So I'm probably going to watch these fucking movies.
Yeah,
because I like them. I've always really, really liked superhero movies, and I've been around a bunch of people who really don't like them and like, oh, this is bad quality, this is that and that, and I'm like, okay, but I can't help it. I like them. So
I mean, yeah, I'll probably watch them too, just because I don't know, it's a fucking spectacle. Whatever, it's something to do, and whatever. If nobody else sees it, then they don't make money and they stop making them. And if they keep making them, then I get to keep complaining. So I'm happy.
I have a prediction about this new Superman movie that it's going to be. I've been saying this since they announced James Gunn was going to do a Superman movie. I think this Superman movie is going to come out and it's going to be severely and loudly praised for a month or two. And then the unanimous sentiment is going to immediately and quickly turn into, that was good. That was a good movie.
Probably.
And I think that because everybody says, I want the real Superman, the heroic, smiling boy, big blue Boy Scout. I want that Superman. And they do want that Superman. And I think when they get that Superman, they don't actually like that Superman enough to make it very profitable like a Batman movie. And I think it's going to come out and people are going to be like, yes, this is exactly what I wanted. And now I'm done with it. And I'm not going to talk about it. And I'm never going to see it again.
Yeah.
And I know that this is going to happen because they got that Superman with Superman Returns, and everybody thought that was good. That was cool.
Yeah.
And then that was it. Superman, Superman is a complex character because everyone wants him to be a way that is not interesting, or at least is very difficult to make interesting, right?
Yeah,
It can be, but it's very hard to make a character that is basically flawless and all good, very interesting, in my opinion.
It's it's the fucking Superman problem. Like, do you know who Brandon Sanderson is?
I vaguely know the name.
He writes fantasy novels. He has a universe called the Cosmere, but He had a writing podcast that I used to listen to a long time ago in high school when I actually wanted to write books and stuff, and a little bit post high school. But he had this idea, the scales of character. To create a good character, you have these scales, and they have to be they can be high on two of these scales, but they have to be low on one of the other ones to be interesting. And I think it was
flawed characters,
likability, competency, and charisma or something. Like you can have somebody that's extremely like the best example of this is Sherlock Holmes, right? Because he's extremely competent, but he's very unlike. Oh, sorry. It's likability, competence, and proactivity. So Sherlock Holmes is extremely proactive. He wants to solve the case and shit, and he's extremely competent, but he's not very likable. He's not very charismatic.
Yeah.
And
I love Sherlock Holmes.
Well, it's not about you. It's about the people.
No. But I mean, I know that I like him because he fits that scale. He's not likable. His unlikability. It's like the House character from the House show.
Same thing. Very competent, very proactive, but not likable. And then you can have a character.
I love that. That's so good. Who's this guy again?
Brandon Sanderson.
Dude, he figured it out.
Yeah, and then you can have a character that's super likable and super proactive, but they're extremely incompetent. And that's a lot of like comic relief characters, you know. They're just like dumb and they can't do anything, but they really want to be on the journey, and everybody loves them.
You ever seen Attack on Titan?
Yes, yeah.
To a large degree, the main character is that he's extremely proactive. His whole thing is, they even say it all the time in the earlier seasons. They're like, this kid is not the most talented of his group, but damn it, he wants it. You know?
Yes.
He's likable. He's very proactive, but he's not super competent, but he's a serious character. He's not the comic relief. So you can do that without it just being comic relief.
That was just an example.
Yeah, no, I'm thinking about it.
There's also, and then there's like a high likability and high competence, but they're not proactive. They don't really want it. They're maybe the reluctant hero or something, right? So everybody loves them. They're extremely good. They have some sort of innate ability, but they don't want to do the thing. Or
even like a mentor monk character who has to like be convinced to participate.
Yeah. Very, very good at their trade, and the hero of our story likes them a lot, but they're not proactive. That makes them interesting. If you're high in all of these, you are Superman. Likability, competence, and proactivity. He's high in every single one.
The thing is, the Man of Steel, say what you will about it, it managed to make Superman. It balances that movie bounces him between those three, but he's never all three of them at the same time.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? And
yes,
that movie is actually a lot more successful on release than I think people remember. But a lot of people since then have been mad because they said he sulked too much, or he was too like frustrated and all this other stuff. But that is the only live action interpretation we've gotten of Superman who wasn't all three of those at the same time.
Yeah. And it can shift too. You know, maybe they become more competent as the story goes on, but they get lower in likability or proactivity. And somebody, Grin said in chat, Uncle Eero is high in all of those though. He's not a main character. It's not a one side. Well, it doesn't have to be main characters, but it doesn't have to be one side fits all. This is just like this isn't every single character has this. This is more writing advice. And it happens to apply to a lot of characters. Brandon Sanderson is also, I should note, he's also a English professor or creative writing professor at NYU or something. And so he is very good at giving and articulating writing advice. And his books are really good too.
I would say Iroh isn't the most proactive.
Yeah,
I think he's lower on the proactive scale.
I think he said that. Yeah, I guess maybe he's less proactive. Yeah, it's interesting to think about characters like that, because it's kind of like one of those trope things where when you see it, you can't unsee it anymore. Yeah, and you look at every character and you're like, oh shit, yeah, that one's that one's that. Yeah.
And when they're all three of those things, people are very suspicious of them. People don't immediately like them. And I think the Rey character from the sequel Star Wars trilogy. I don't know if you saw those movies, but
That's
that
true.
particular character was, especially in the first movie she was in, but she maxed out all three categories. She was incredibly likable, she was incredibly competent, and she was incredibly proactive.
Yeah.
And it makes you suspicious. It makes you suspicious of characters when they're like that.
Yeah, because Luke was proactive but not competent.
He was not competent. The only people always use the fact that he blew up the Death Star to be like, oh, see, but first off, he didn't do that. The Force did it, and it's the only thing he does.
Yeah, and it's the end of the movie. Like, that's the arc, is him getting competent, you know? Oh, your mic's off.
In that movie, he loses the droid he's supposed to take care of. He goes to find the droid, and then he gets knocked unconscious and saved by Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan tries to train him, and he fails because he can't deflect the blaster bolts, right? They keep zapping him. He watches Obi-Wan get killed because he can't do anything.
Yeah.
Most of that movie is Luke being unable to do anything and getting saved and, like, told what to do.
Yeah.
He shoots one TIE fighter once in the gunner seat. And he's so excited because it's like the most exciting thing he's ever done.
Yeah.
That's it.
And you can have characters like that. They're just going to be harder to make likable. Like you said, with Superman, you can still make him likable. It's just way more difficult. And you can have characters that are low in all of that. They can be unlikable, incompetent, and not proactive and not wanting to do anything, but you have to be way better at writing to make them likable.
And I think if they're going to max out those three categories, it needs to be like near the end of things, when things are wrapping up and the story is done being told. Yeah,
for sure. Eyes once open, cannot close again type moment. More like type beat, am I right? Skywalker's heroic last name. Okay, yeah, we're talking about we're not talking about Metal Gear, and we're talking about Star Wars. It's probably time to wrap it up, huh?
Yep, that's how you know.
That's how you know things
when
have gone
Star
too
Wars
long.
starts coming up.
So we start talking about Star Wars. No, I'm just kidding. It probably is time to wrap it up, though. What do you got coming out?
Well, like I said at the beginning of the podcast, for those of you listening, if you haven't checked it out, I was the voice actor of Spider-Man in an awesome new motion comic called Kraven's Last Hunt, available on YouTube. But before you do that, my retrospective on Dragon Ball Z Infinite World is out now. It came out when we started streaming.
Oh, shit.
It came out at 7 p.m., so it's been out for about 2 hours. If you're a Dragon Ball Z fan, go pull that up. Go click on that video. It's not very long. It's a little under 30 minutes. Drop a like, drop a comment on me to help me out in the algo, and just listen to me talk about probably the most bizarre Dragon Ball Z game I've ever played in my life.
Hell yeah. It's a shorter one, too, I see.
It's the game only has one mode, really.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's one of the short. It's because it came out on the PS2. It was a PS2 exclusive at the last month of 2008.
Oh, shit.
It was a PS2 game in 2008, and it was being co-developed alongside its seventh generation title. So the developer was making a game called Dragon Ball Z Burst Limit, and they were making that game at the same time. So because of that, it's a much smaller game that was really made to give the PS2 fans a little Dragon Ball Z while they actually put out their bigger game that they were working on.
Interesting.
That's why it's a lot smaller.
Hell yeah. Well, go check that out. Go check out Evan's performance in that motion comic. I know I'm going to. And as for me, I released a video on my Patreon last night. If you want to watch it early, it's up there now. It is I played every Tony Hawk game. Go sign up for the Patreon if you want to get early access to videos. If you don't want to wait, then if you don't want to wait, you can go to the Patreon. If you do want to wait, if you want to get it for free, it'll be out tomorrow. I'm going to try a new upload day. Changing things up. I want to see.
Really? Finally. We're finally doing it.
I'm gonna experiment. I want to see what's out there. The wonderful ways of the other days of the week. I just made it rhyme.
What's your new upload time?
It's still 1 p.m.
1 p.m. on Saturday.
Still 1 p.m. on Saturday. It'll be out tomorrow. I'm gonna try it, see how it works. I just want to check it out, see what goes on. I've only uploaded on Sundays ever, so maybe something else is a little different. We'll see. And then next week will be another worst Steam games. Probably one of my like tightest worst Steam games I've done. Like I feel like I've just gotten that series down, so it's just nice and like just fucking jams, you know? So I'm excited for that one as well. It'll also be up early on the Patreon, probably on Thursday next week. If you want to see that. And then afterwards, we're on to MGS5. But before MGS5, you can catch us here Fridays, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, for all of your video game, Star Wars, CW, DC shows.
It's weird that that's come up twice in 2 episodes in a row.
It has. It's become, maybe it's our new thing. We have to talk about a CW DC show every week. Yeah, we'll be here. Thank you guys, as always, for watching. Thank you for donating. Thank you for liking the stream. And join us again next week.
That's right.